Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
So before we got started here this weekend, John, we were kind of going over some show notes, some of the stories that people are talking about. And you mentioned, as we're talking about market timing, there was a Charles Schwab study that lasted over 20 years. Tell the people what you were telling me about this and how it could affect how they see market timing.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Mark. This study is 20 years old, but it still holds true today. You know, one of these investors was magical, right? He could pick the perfect day, or she could. Every year when stocks were cheapest, another just invested right away without timing, pushing all of their chips on the table. The magical person ended up with just over $150,000, and the regular person who just went all in with no strategy got $135,000 gross return. Mm-hmm. Only a $16,000 difference after 20 years. Here's the bottom line. Both of these strategies crushed the person who kept money in savings, waiting for that perfect moment that just never came.
Yeah, a really good, fascinating study from Charles Schwab there, but I think it proves timing could actually hurt more than it helps the average investor.
Yeah. At Cypress, we don't try to guess when markets will move. We use strategic models like a smart thermostat. When markets get dangerous, they automatically move your money. When things calm down, they move money back into growth investments. What this does is take your emotions out completely. I mean, think of hurricane season. When those buoys start picking up signals, we board up before the storm hits, not during the panic. The same with these markets. Here's what I want you to do. Write down exactly how much you lost when you got scared and sold in a down market. If that makes you sick, it's time to get a plan that preserves your assets automatically.
How can you help preserve your assets and build income in retirement in a volatile market? We invite you to call today, 504-732-1001. Again, that number, 504-732-1001. Always available at cypressfinancial.net. And John, before we get to this next segment, I say the name Ed Slott. Are you a big fan of his? Do you enjoy what the information he puts out there in the industry? Is he a respected name?
I mean, I think the guy's really smart. You know, the thing about finance, sometimes I really get humbled by the amount of brain power, all of these intellects. Right. I mean, some guys think they're smarter than they really are. Yeah. But Ed Slott, again, real bright guy. When he talks, I tend to listen. You know, even if I don't agree with him, I always hear him out.
You know, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you didn't say, like, I hate him, I don't like him, he's a liar, he's bad, because we're about to play a sound clip from him, too. So I'm glad that he got your nod of approval going into this. But boomers are expected to pass an $85 trillion down to the next generation. All this silver tsunami is going to be hitting within the next 20 years. Most of this is going to be in retirement accounts. So with that being said, tax guru Ed Slott says if you're inheriting a retirement account, you want it to be the right kind.
Under this 10-year rule for beneficiaries, most beneficiaries, non-spouses, have to empty the inherited account now after the Secure Act by the end of the 10th year after death. Same thing with an inherited Roth. But they can keep that inherited Roth growing for the full 10 years. They never have to touch it and take it out, all that accumulated growth and compounding, absolutely income tax-free.
So, John Scallan, as we're talking about inherited Roths, let's say I'm 65, I'm retired. I want to leave my kids the biggest inheritance without Uncle Sam taking a big bite out of it. Is there anything that I should be doing this year?
Yeah, great question, Mark. This is simple planning that goes a long way. A lot of families that have walked into my office are, clueless about this, and it's costing their children a fortune. If you inherit a traditional retirement account, Uncle Sam becomes almost your business partner for life. The government forces them to take money out and pay taxes on it every year. But inherit a Roth retirement account, it's like giving your kids tax-free money that grows for 10 full years.
They can let it grow for a decade without Uncle Sam coming in trying to get his share.
Exactly, my friend. Let's say a young person inherits $100,000 in a Roth at 30 years old. It grows at 7% for 10 years. They walk away with a whopping $196,000. And guess what? Uncle Sam gets absolutely nothing.
So is it smart for parents to switch to a Roth account before something happens?
Mark, that in many cases, that's really a great strategy. When you first retire, you're often in lower tax brackets, not working, maybe not taking Social Security yet, not forced to take your required minimum distributions. This is usually a perfect time for conversions.
So the conversions cut the taxes up front. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. I mean, but if you're in a 12% bracket now and your kids might be in a 22% tax bracket when they inherit, you just save them 10% on every dollar. Plus, all that growth is tax-free forever. Mark, think about this. Once you start Social Security and required minimum distributions at 73, in many cases, your tax bracket goes up, and this gets expensive. Now, for all of our listeners, all of our clients, here's your homework. Pull out your tax return and check your bracket. If you're in the 12% bracket and retired, this may be perfect timing. Give us a call. 504-732-1001. Send us an email to info@cypressfinancial.net. We will show you exactly how much this could save your family in terms of taxes.
Again, that number to have a deeper conversation about a Roth, about an inheritance to your kids, the grandkids, 504-732-1001, cypressfinancial.net to meet the team. And from the homepage, you can send an email. Hey, John, let's talk about that for a second. We were talking about the $84 trillion that's going to be passed down over the next 15, 20 years. If I know that I'm going to be getting that inheritance. So a minute ago, we were talking to the parents, what they should be doing, how they should be helping out their kids tax-free. What should I be doing to prepare to get a windfall amount of money, no matter how much it is from an inheritance?
Mark, we talk about this constantly. It's never too early to start laying out a plan. It's never too early to talk about the what ifs. And in this case, a what if may be a significant or even a modest inheritance. What are the things that I need to know? What are the things that I need to be prepared for? Listen, when you come to Cypress Financial and you park your car, leave your checkbook in the glove box. Come on in. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Let us help you, at the very least, give you some things to think about. And at the very best, start forming a plan that will last you for the decades to come.
That all begins with the phone call this weekend to 504-732-1001. We have a representative standing by. We know you got a lot going on this weekend. We're going to get you off the phone pretty quick. Or, of course, you can always send the team an email from cypressfinancial.net. And, John, let's talk about something that catches a lot of people off guard. So I know your kids are a little bit older now, but you take them to an amusement park. You know the tickets. You got let's say you got a family of 4. Probably going to cost you about $500 to get in. But then you add in parking. Let's say you want to skip the line, get those fast passes, food, drinks, hotel. Now that $500 has now jumped up to $1,500 or more. Well, John, retirement has the exact same kind of hidden costs that many people don't see coming until it's too late. Let's say I'm 58, planning to retire at 65. I think I need $60,000 a year to live comfortably. That's how much I've budgeted for my trip to the amusement park of retirement. But what am I missing?
Oh, boy, Mark, I see people get hit by these surprise costs every week. I mean, let's talk about the big ones: healthcare, taxes, family emergencies, natural disasters that we experience so much here in Louisiana, and what I call everything keeps getting more expensive.
Right. And I hate to cut you off there, but let's start with the healthcare, because it feels like we talk about it a lot, we hear about it a lot, but people overlook it a lot as well.
Yeah, Mark, I've said this on our show before. AARP does a study every single year, and it's really about the top 10 expenses in retirement. Number 1, for the past decade, healthcare. Mm-hmm. The average American couple thinks they'll spend $40,000 or $50,000 on healthcare during their entire retirement. Well, the reality, they'll actually spend $315,000 on health care in a normal retirement. Listen, I'm not making this up. Look it up yourself. And here's what's really scary. A healthy 65-year-old couple will use a significant part of their Social Security checks just to pay for doctor bills and medicine. I mean, then there's the tax surprise. People think retirement means paying less in taxes, but if you've done a good job saving in your 401k, plus you've got Social Security and maybe a pension, you might actually pay the same amount in taxes or even more. Then when you turn 73, the government forced you to start taking these chunks out of your retirement account, pay taxes on them, whether you need the money or not.
Okay, you mentioned it earlier. What about family emergencies?
Yeah, this one really gets to me. You know, those who are going through divorces, grandchildren needing help with college, elderly parents. We are seeing people live longer, and often the burden of their care, and I don't even want to call it a burden, right? The obligation to help our parents is becoming more and more prevalent. These aren't things you can budget for, but they happen to almost every family. I had a client recently spend $45,000 helping their daughter through an unexpected medical crisis. Listen, this wasn't in their retirement plan, but what choice did they really have as a parent?
So if somebody is planning on $60,000 a year, what should they be planning for?
Mark, I mean, a minimum, right, of 20%. I'd say if 60,000 was the number, we'd start planning for $75,000 to $80,000 a year. You build extra cushions into everything, just like, gosh, keeping extra batteries in the junk drawer. We typically plan for healthcare costs to be 20% higher than what experts say. We keep emergency money separate from retirement income and use insurance or an annuity with a long-term care rider to help preserve your money if one of you needs long-term care. Remember this, the advertised price of retirement is just the starting point. It's all of those hidden extras that really determine whether you'll be comfortable or struggling to make ends meet. Here's an action step. Take your estimated retirement income and multiply this by 1.3. That's probably what you'll really need. If that number scares you, give us a call. Let's figure out how to close that gap before it's too late.
John Scallan knows that one of the biggest fears for adults in retirement is running out of money. So we're going to create plans that builds income that lasts as long as you do. Reach out to the team this weekend, 504-732-1001. Again, 504-732-1001. You can call now, you can call tomorrow, you can call Monday when it's convenient for you to have a quick conversation to get you on the calendar. But you can always meet the team and schedule that consultation at cypressfinancial.net. Again, cypressfinancial.net. And John Scallan, most grandparents have specific grandparent names. My daughter calls my mom Graham, called my dad Pops. So as a grandfather, John, what do the grandkids call you?
The little ones, well, I have a 17-year-old. She calls me Papa J, but I think I've been renamed to be JJ.
I like that.
My wife is called Gigi, so we figured we'd make it really difficult for the little kids to distinguish between us, but no, it's JJ.
I like that. I want you to hear this from comedian Anthony Robustano about grandparents.
Listen, I'm not trying to start nothing, but I got to say this, okay? What happened to the name Grandma and Grandpa? Because what's going on today? How do we even calling these people? You meet somebody's grandparents today, they're like, yeah, this is Pika and Boo. What? Yeah, and over here, these are my grandparents, Lolly and Pop. What are you doing? This man fought in World War II, and now, and to the day he's buried in the ground, he's known as a Peepaw. These guys have been through to build your family, and now they're known as Moo Moo and Boo Boo. That is insane.
Makes a great point, John. So, John, grandparent names obviously are very unique. Just like you do with the families you serve, create unique retirement plans. Do you adjust them as Meemaw and Peepaw get older? And John, how does that turn out?
Mark, I don't adjust plans based on what they want to be called. You're right, though. retirement plans need to change as people age. What worked at 65 might not work at 75 or 85. Again, allow me to use this analogy again. This plan, this portfolio, this is like that beautiful garden in front of your house. You can't just plant it, fertilize it, put in new plants and say, there it is, Shazam. Listen, for those of you who garden, for those of you who have a gardener, this is work. We've got to pull weeds. We have to change mulch. We have to make sure it's got water. We've got to change plants. We have to fertilize. Again, this is very, very similar to a plan. We meet, we communicate, we strategize, we adjust to the different tax environments. What's the market doing? Are bonds paying an incredible rate? Are they through the floor? This is exactly what the proper plan and the proper relationship with your financial advisor looks like.
Investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.